I watched some YouTube tutorials on, you know, how to make a pattern from your favorite shirt, and filled me with all sorts of false confidence that I could do this. I used a Hell Bunny sort of vintage looking, slightly off the shoulder shirt. In hindsight, bad idea. I should have just used a regular just blouse shirt, but no, I did not. So that presented me with quite a few problems, because as you may imagine, burlap, not the most uh, easy fabric to work with. So the trim, the black trim, is actually a sheet I got from the thrift store. It was a queen size flat sheet. And I used pretty much every bit of that sheet, between my costume, and there's some in his, I think there's some in the mask, in his Oogie mask, I believe. But yeah, so I did the neckline, and I made it come down, and it crosses here. And when I put it on, after I had, you know, I pinned it and then glued it. I didn't pin it and then try it on to see how it looked, because, you know, that's how you do. And it looked kind of strange, so I added a second strip here in the middle. I cut it up the middle, and there's a seam. Did the stitching. I did some darts here. Here I did a little hole where some friends can peek out. These are all just little dollar store, those little bags of bugs you can get from the dollar store. The sleeves, oh, the sleeves. That was the part about this shirt that gave me the most problems, was the sleeves. I think it's just me personally, but once I cut the pattern for the sleeves out, I couldn't figure out how to attach them to the shirt. It was just, I was going nuts, honestly. Just couldn't figure it out. I ended up gluing them to the outside of the shirt, so there is this rough seam, but it's Oogie. It's supposed to be an Oogie. I'm supposed to just be a sack of bugs or whatever, basically. So with the stitching, and I did the dry brush aging, I think that it looks fine. The cuffs of the sleeves were huge, like width wise. So I just put some, again, just the black yarn, and gathered it so the sleeves were a little poofy. If you can describe burlap as poofy, it had a poofy effect. So to close the shirt, I wanted it to be super simple to get in and out of. Again, this is a trunk or treat, and it was supposed to be in a park, but due to weather and flooding a couple days before Halloween, they moved it to the farmer's market, which is, again, just an asphalt, you know, parking lot, basically. So there was no bathrooms or anything at that location to change into. We had initially, you know, it was supposed to be at the park, so there was going to be bathrooms. But I just wanted something to be easy to get in and out of. And like I said, I wore a shirt, actually wore two shirts underneath this because it was cold. But I just did, again, this is the sheet. And I just hot glued some strips and made ties. And it held up really well. It did not have any problem with it, you know, getting untied or anything like that. So this is the skirt. This took almost as much time as the shirt did, only because I had to keep making alterations, because again, I don't know how to make clothes. I measure, I'm definitely a measure once, cut once, oh, I messed up, gotta do it again type person. But in the end, it came out good. It's definitely heavy. It has approximately 36 panels, I believe. It was originally 28 panels, and I had to add some. I don't remember how many I added, but I know I added more than I needed. So I think it's somewhere around 34 to 36 panels. It's burlap, green tulle, some weird kind of crinkly polyester fabric that I had in my fabric stash, and the remnants of the black sheet. That sheet got used for everything. So I used that pattern for the panels. Burlap. This is that kind of crinkly polyester looking fabric. I didn't do the hems on these, but again, it's Halloween costume, and it's Oogie. It's not supposed to be finished, right? Right. Just keep telling myself that. And the tulle. I wore a black crinoline underneath this. My hopes was that it was gonna poof the skirt out, but the skirt was so heavy it really didn't do much. These were a last minute addition. It's that plastic stuff you use to make like holiday wreaths out of. I got like, I had bags of it from Dollar Tree, black and purple. And that's the only thing I actually sewed on to this project. Just because the hot glue melted it, so it had to be sewn on. And again, another little tear in my bag of bugs, and they're making an appearance. More little dollar store bugs. Behind this is a piece of sheet. I just cut a hole in the burlap, glued a piece of sheet onto the back, and then glued the little bugs to the burlap and then the sheet underneath. So this is the back of the skirt. The waistband is more black sheet, a couple pieces of interfacing fabric. Excuse me. I used the top seam of the flat sheet for the waistband, and you know, just tuck the interfacing fabric in there. It has a tie back, and there's actually some belt loops because, like I said, I had to make some alterations and add some panels in. So this back panel is more of that black sheet, and it just ties in the back. I did have a little bit of problem because this skirt is heavy, that I did have to be retied a couple times throughout the night, but other than that, it was fine. My favorite thing about the skirt, my most genius idea I'll probably ever have in my entire life, it just goes downhill from here, kids. I made pockets. Big, deep pockets. It held my cell phone, bottle of water, and it's just made out of the sheet. And, you know, just cut a hole in the burlap and hot glued it in. And they held up well with, I have a large cell phone, and, you know, a bottle of water. It also had extra Halloween candy in the pockets, and I don't even know what else was all in my pockets at the end of the night, but pockets. So for my hood, it was a little different with this. I couldn't find a pattern. I'll link the video down below. Hey, don't eat my hood, man. Hey, excuse me, madam. He's not snack. No. I found a video where the girl who had made it, she explained how she made it, but there was no pattern. So what I did was I just got one of my hoodies, laid it on its side onto wrapping paper because I didn't have any actual pattern paper, and again did a rough outline of the hood and then drew the design of the little thingy, cone thingy, whatever, on the inside. Oops. So it has, there's 2 layers of burlap, a layer of the green tulle, a layer of interfacing, and then black sheet, which was soft for the inside. I couldn't get the cone because, you know, like any pattern, you sew it inside out. And I couldn't get the cone to fully come out, but I think it looks good this way. And I didn't have to stuff it because it's pretty solid. I did the little spider. I had some, if you can see, but it's black fishing line. So I did the little spider on the end. The eyes, in the original video, she used EVA foam, and like I said, this project was next to no budget. We had those 2 bolts of burlap, so we had plenty. I ended up making the eyes from burlap. Like I said, there's 2 layers of burlap. I cut a hole in the top layer, and I just molded these from scraps of burlap that we had and hot glued, and I tucked it. It has flaps that go on the inside. I tucked that into the hole, hot glued those down, hot glued the edge of the, you can see the edge of the flap onto the eyes, and then did the black here in the center, just acrylic paint, and did the dry brush staging around the eyes. So as you can see, the eyes, they're a little off. It was a little hard to line them up, but when you have it on, you can't really tell much. I don't think. I don't know. On the front, this is all black acrylic paint. I did around the edges and did what would be like his lips, I guess, his lip crease or whatever. And then on the inside, that's what it looks like. It's soft. It stays well off enough your face so the burlap edges don't really poke you. For the original hood, she had made a snake clasp type thing out of polymer clay. You know, again, no budget, so I ended up just with some scraps of burlap, tulle, and I knew I had black lace somewhere. I could not find it, but I found this black trim stuff, so I used that. I think it looks fine, and I just braided it, then tied it at the end with some black yarn, and I hot glued it to the hood. And I actually didn't need to tie these. The hood stayed on my head well. It didn't slip or want to fall off or anything. There was one time I took it off to get something out of our car, get something to drink, and I put it on backwards and didn't realize for a few minutes. But other than that, it was fine. Didn't fall off, didn't need to tie these. They just kind of hung down like little Oogie Pippi long stocking type braids. She's judging me. Judging. Thank you for watching this video. You can check out my other video where I show my boyfriend's Oogie Boogie costume. He made that costume himself. I did a couple little details on it, but it was mostly all him. I think both of our costumes came out great. We had a fun time at the trunk or treat. You can also check out that video. I did a little slideshow of photos from that where we were the winners, by the way. Teehee. But yeah.